Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, today, because we're moving towards the first 100 days in office of President Buhari, and well, as the day has been approaching, there's been a sort of a side story about you know, some documents floating around that one of those documents is My Covenant with Nigerians, 100 things Buhari will do in 100 days. But you remember that when we first of all broached this subject on Monday, we had Lai Mohammed here, and he had said that there was no such communication at any point in time at all. That work is ongoing, but as for those kind of ideas about what will be done in the first 100 days, that just is the figment of some people's imagination, that they never put, APC never put a document like that out, neither did the president or the presidency. And well, it hasn't gone away because we've been used to the concept, the American concept of the first 100 days and that kind of a thing. Well, I have to chat on things like this and other things, Professor Tunde Samuel. He's an APC chieftain. Good morning, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed, Professor Samuel has recently retired from LASU as Professor of Economics of Education. Indeed, there's we'll come to that because that's your core constituency, and there are other issues in there. We'll come to that. But in starting off first with this one, the first 100 days is just around the corner. The idea of 100 days, it's not new. But the Buhari people are saying that we don't know anything about it. How does it matter? Because maybe mischief can be made by the opposition and say, look, in 100 days, since people are complaining that we don't have a cabinet, things are slow, is the worry that those who are touting 100 days, that idea, might then use it against APC? Is that what the crux of the matter is?
I don't think so. I think the conspirators in the run-up to the presidential election, after they goofed, are now trying to lay some deadly mines for President Buhari.
Okay. When you talk about conspirators, you're talking about the opposition.
Of course.
Okay.
You see, in conspiracy theory, if you fail in the first instance, you don't accept defeat. You still want to assert that you are still around.
Okay.
And that is exactly what the opposition is doing now. That's point number one. Point number two, I find it illogical. If the original plan of the opposition members, the opposition party, is to remain in power for 50 or 60 years. Yes. And by divine intervention, that party has been expunged from the political landscape for the next 4 years in the first instance. I find it illogical for them now to start masquerading themselves as agenda setters for Buhari. I don't think, to me, I don't think that there's anything rational in that. They cannot wish him well. I find it extremely difficult to accept that. And you know President Buhari, for his calmness, is solidly calm. And you will recollect, during my last outing here, I said, hardly can you get more than 2 Nigerians that could withstand the degree, the heap of verbal cholera and political shenanigans heaped against this gentleman in the run-up to the presidential election. No, hardly can you get. So I will expect President Buhari to discountenance.
Okay, but when you say, Prof, that you find it illogical, the opposition pretending to be agenda setters, wasn't APC, your party, doing precisely that in the last administration, throughout the last administration?
No,
the APC...
What we were doing then was to bring out the shortcomings. They set the agenda for them. The other parties, PDP set its agenda.
Yes, it set its own agenda. and
we were only,
APC was incessantly critiquing
and you will recollect,
position.
Moderator, that we were not talking in the first 3 or 6 months. You must see the difference now. Somebody must be out for some degree of mischief. And you cannot tell Mr. President, agenda setting is a function of sound value engineering. Maybe he's still looking into policy cybernetics of this administration. Without a critical overview of his policy cybernetics, which must be rested on value engineering in terms of what society is holding desirable. It's not a question of just jumping into governance.
And you don't think, as the critics are saying, as opposition is saying, that this could conceivably have been started even before winning the election, quite frankly, since nobody goes into an election, well, serious people don't go into election with the intention that they will lose. They go in there with the intention that they will win. Okay. People remember that when the ban on politics was lifted back in the day, that time, Chief Awolowo and his UPN were able to hit the ground running the second day. They bring up that argument that, look, how could he come up with a sort of infrastructure the very next day if he hadn't been thinking about it? So the opposition is saying that APC and President Buhari might have been thinking about this matter, and they don't see, according to them, much evidence of any such thought. If we today, just a couple of days away from 100 days, we don't have the full cabinet. Of course, it needs to be said that the so-called kitchen cabinet has been sworn in.
I personally don't expect General Buhari to package his cabinet earlier than 90 days.
Okay.
And I will explain why. Before he was elected, there was frightening misery, frightening economic misery in the land. You see, before you can hit the ground running as a president, you must have a critical overview of the performance audit of the previous administration. What have they done wrong? Where have they gone wrong? And what can the APC as a party do to improve the lots of the masses? This he must do in the first 90 days. You are talking in terms of a president coming in and just starting off. That is under ceteris paribus. Okay. But you will realize all things will never be equal at all times. All things are not equal with Nigeria now. It's only under ceteris paribus assumption that you can come in as president and then hit the ground running.
Okay. Okay.
But in a situation, because if you look at the various indices in development planning with respect to Nigeria, is it leakages you want to talk about? Is it highly intimidating level of inflation in the economy? The Naira is almost becoming a mere sheet of paper. There are about 9 indices in development accountancy that this Mr. President will sit down and critique so that he will not just jump prematurely into governance. And the opposition will be the first to attack him. So let him take his time, look into the policy cybernetics of his administration, do his value engineering properly relative to energy, petroleum resources, health, education, transportation. Let him come up with this. Let him get us his barometer of values that is going to expend money in the next 4 years. And I think that is what he's doing now. He's articulating.
And that is what, of course, the opposition is not sort of given any margin for. But then perhaps that's in the nature of opposition parties. You know, quite frankly, that's the terms of reference.
I'm not bothered. I'm not.
that would be the term of reference. And the job such as you have outlined is hardly a job, seems to be the implication of what you're saying, that can be done in a hurry. it must be done thoroughly,
by
definition.
They want to
and that's why...
They want to lay some mines for him.
Okay, you think... Oh. Okay.
He's not the type of person...
Booby traps all over the place.
No way. No way. I know he will keep his calm. No way.
The other criticism from the opposition, and indeed, let it be said, from some APC members, perhaps not all of them are speaking out publicly, is that they're a bit disappointed in what they see as the scant appointments so far, that even that one, get K-leg.
Who says?
Well, you have heard about the disappointments of some sections of the country that certain offices didn't go to them, and so some people are being, trampled all over in spite of what they did and all of that for the success of this particular administration. You heard all of those stories.
Let me clarify an issue. Mr. President calls the shot when it comes to his kitchen cabinet. Nobody can decide for him who and who should be in the kitchen cabinet. That's point number one.
You have a federal character.
Federal character.
Even in that kitchen cabinet.
Well, federal character is becoming a bottom to me now. You saw what happened in Senate. Mm-hmm. You should not be referring to federal character if you remember what happened in Senate. First time senator becoming a minority leader. There are instances already. The federal character has been messed up. And I want to bring in this example. During my stay in Asiwaju's cabinet, yes. 2003 to 2007. Okay.
That's the Commissioner for Education, right?
I was the special advisor on education to the governor.
Okay.
Arolambo was the secretary to the state government. Fashola was the chief of staff. He selected those characters based on confidence level. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Confidence and reliability level.
Okay.
I cannot pick you as my secretary to the state government, though I must draw a distinction because to me, with my experience, the chief of staff was more powerful than the secretary to the state government.
Okay.
Because the secretary to the state government to me is a mere recorder of the cabinet.
Okay.
But the chief of staff was more or less the powerhouse of the governor. In that cabinet, the efforts of the secretary to the state government must submit the minutes of ESCO every Thursday to my office for vetting. Because we were spending 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours every day vetting minutes so that we could not even start the meeting until around 2 or 3. So Asiwaju in his wisdom decided that we should get somebody to vet that meeting and tell us it's correct. We will not be coming here to be wasting time.
Okay, okay.
That was what happened then. It goes to say that President Buhari will not want to bring in anybody that is going to be a security risk. Mm-hmm. Given our experience mm-hmm. in Senate now, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Once beaten, twice shy. That's what is happening to. That is what exactly is happening to Mr. President now.
You see what happened in the Senate, since you mentioned it as a betrayal of confidence.
Personally, that it is. That's my personal.
From within the same party.
Yes. Mm. So it is the prerogative of Mr. President to decide who should be chief of staff, who should be the secretary to the state government. In fact, I find it ludicrous. I read in the papers this morning some youths taking Mr. President to court in respect of this appointment. It's a laughable issue. I don't believe those boys, those guys, I don't believe they have something doing.
But it does speak to the nature of our politics, perhaps even our polity, that these are the kind of things that...
It's an exercise in futility. Where in the Constitution is it written that the appointment of SSG and Chief of Staff must be based on ethnic balance? Show me the...
No. Even if it is not written, but people are saying that, look, there are these sensibilities. They might not be recorded, but you've just explained that the way these, top guns choose their kitchen cabinets, it's based entirely on trust. And so people, the implication of what you're saying is that if people are going to be fair, they shouldn't really be surprised at the appointments that Mr. President is making based on his own level of confidence in the different individuals.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
And that's what the opposition doesn't seem to be allowing for.
No, that's none of our, and it's none of our business. The opposition, let them accept. If they don't like it, when we were shouting at them in the last 16 years, they did not listen to us. They did not. And heaven did not fall. So let Mr. President be allowed to do his job. And let them wait. If they want to come back to power, let them go and sharpen their memory for 2019.
So your position, Professor Samuel, seems to be the one of, look, people should not be distracted.
It's not an issue to me.
People should not be distracted by this issue.
At all, it's not an issue. We still have a gamut of policies to be implemented in the last 4 years. People are not talking of that. They are not articulating issues to assist Mr. President. They are not giving him ideas. You give Mr. President ideas, they are hitting the ground, criticizing from day one. So the best thing for the General President Buhari is to just ignore them and carry on.
But I suspect that the president can't really afford to just ignore them. What I mean by that is that because people are talking about a government of inclusiveness, a government of all Nigerians, against the backdrop of something that was said in the U.S. By the president when he visited about, no, you can't expect those that voted for me to be treated equally with those that didn't. There are people who felt one kind about that statement. But Prof,
I am happy. I am very happy for you are saying that. That's the reality. The other angle is sheer fantasy.
But it's a difficult reality, isn't it? That has to be managed carefully.
By who?
Because the president is the president of all. And that point is being underlined.
The president is the president of all. Mm. But did all voted in 2000 and March or April for Mr. President?
No, of course not. Of course not. But people would like to say that once the election is over...
Yes. In theory,
yes,
you are correct.
Okay.
But in practice, we all know the parties we belong to. We all know. You knew what happened to us in Lagos State.
Mm-hmm. Well, from what you're saying, Prof, could the maxim, be afraid, be very afraid, can it be applied to the opposition now then? From what you're saying, that's the way the game is.
Well, all they have to do is to wait for their turn. They've had 16 years of non-stop. If they are still interested in power, for God's sake, let them start preparing. They have problems from within. And let them go and settle the problems from within rather than coming to attack APC.
How do you think your position stacks against some sentiments I've heard from the opposition about, well, we can expect a victimization, we can expect, persecution. Even it is reported that President Jonathan, although I don't know that that's been authenticated anywhere, had a very brief meeting with Mr. President, allegedly, the speculation goes to say that, look, chill a bit, don't just persecute us, don't persecute me, that kind of a thing. That whole idea is in there.
No, Mr. President will not persecute anybody, Yori. I don't believe he should persecute anybody. And you must be rest assured that he will allocate slot to all the geopolitical zones.
Okay.
But I don't want the opposition to be clever by half. Okay. I don't like it.
Okay. Well, when you say clever by half, this matter about insisting on the rights of every Nigerian to fair and just treatment.
Who says they should be our spokesperson?
Aha.
Whose bid are they working for?
Well, this is Professor Samuel talking. You are being very, very forthright in the way you see it, but because of political correctness. I imagine over there, they're going to have to, even if the mindset is exactly, like yours, they're probably going to feel the responsibility they have to all of Nigerians and all, as we've just said, the geopolitical zones.
No, Nigeria belongs to all of us. But if you look at political schemata from the outcome of this election, the schemata is in line with the reality of the views of majority of Nigerians. That was where the election result tilted to us in March and April. So I can't see anybody now wanting to come and dictate. If the leadership of the APC is not even dictating to President Buhari, is it not funny, Yori?
That
it
the
is
opposition.
If the opposition wants to embark on agenda setting, they are free to do so if they can win again in 2025 or 2030 or 2040. No problem.
But in the meantime, they're going to have to know their place a bit. Now, one thing that was said during the campaign that led up to the victory of the APC presidential candidate, President Buhari, was that, look, we will go after treasury looters. That much was said. And it would appear that they are delivering on that.
Of course.
They are delivering on that particular objective in terms of going after them. The point has been made, though, that they have to be careful so as not to get bogged down. This whole matter about wanting men of high integrity to come into office probably is what is slowing down this a bit. But they're delivering on that. It's not the same as the other issue about the first 100 days in office. Nobody said that. There is what APC is explaining to us. Nobody ever put any kind of...
We don't have any agreement with anybody for 100 days.
But, and that is not... that this is being said now. The opposition will be saying that, well, it's because there's very little to show. That is why they are sort of cancelling the whole idea of 100 days in office. Yori,
let me say it categorically here. There are lots to show. I'll give you one very visible example.
Okay.
The megawatts electricity supply increased from over 2,000 to 4,000 since Buhari came in. I spent an average of about almost 40,000 naira a week to buy diesel. But since Buhari came in, average of about 6 to 8 hours every day, I've been having light. To me, that is magical.
Yes. But it's not any doing of President Buhari, the opposition says. This is work that was really done in President Jonathan's time, but that the rewards are spilling out now, and the incumbent president, even if it wasn't President Buhari, would be able to, if he wanted to, claim it.
It's more than that, Yori. If you have a good idea and you have bad implementers or people that are corrupt, it's very glaring now that it's not as if there can be no power supply during Jonathan's regime. If you can get the logic of my argument now.
I do.
But that somebody, a no-nonsense person, is on seat now. If you don't want to lose your job, better do the right thing.
Okay.
That explains the sudden increase.
That's it.
So
indeed, this is the part that is not often explained. But
of course.
But as you've said, because even the President Buhari and his men are not really claiming that we have improved the situation of power the distribution. But as you said, the body language, as we've heard about the president,
yes,
everybody is now, looking sharp.
In fact,
and just doing the right thing.
Yeah, definitely from the angle of psychoanalysis, nobody has an option other than to behave now. You either behave or you get dealt with. Simple.
And hopefully that thought will permeate the entire society.
It's permeating already. It has gone down.
And so in the midst of such initial progress, at least, in the midst of this, then it seems it goes back to your point about nobody should be distracted by all the hullabaloo. Just put your head down, concentrate on what you are doing, and you know, till we, oh dear, we'll sort this out. It does happen, unfortunately. I'm very sorry about that. Okay. Okay, this is something that's hopefully it's been sorted out, and we'll try and get to it. So these things, these are the kind of things that happen in a polity. You've said that as far as you're concerned, just do not be distracted. Don't look there. Just keep on firing from all cylinders. Now, we often hear that you have to take direction. You should be taking direction from the headship, the way the head is. I wonder, in APC states all over the place, all over the country, they haven't come up with their cabinets as well. Would it be borrowing a leaf, as it were?
Well, I think there is a plan to have a united decision for all the APC control states, yes. Okay. And probably, if we know those who are able to go to the center, we'll see the leftover.
I see. And then there's a plan. That's an interesting thing. That's an interesting thing. This has not been the case in the past, has it? This unified plan.
It hasn't. It hasn't, because the economic climate is not as hopeless as today. You know, I was reeling out developmental indices.
That's right.
Health, education, inflation, the value of the naira to exchange rate and so on, and interest rate, and have it. The whole thing, the economy is terribly sick now.
Okay. I've got to go on a commercial break now, but we'll be right back. Please stay with us. We'll put your calls when we come back.